Vermin. I'm running with the Libertarian Party. I was born in California. I identify as a Texan, and I run my campaign from Mexico. I have no respect for borders, which are basically government constructs. There's a lot of thank you. There's a lot of talk about how we're going to get more government to solve our problems these days, and we hear a lot of it coming from both the two big parties. And what we need to realize is that while they tell us we should blame the rich, we should blame these big corporations, we have to understand that the reason these corporations have so much control over our lives is not because we go to their stores and voluntarily exchange our money for their products. It's because government creates and protects their monopolies so that we have no other options. Government creates monopolies on labor, which is why the cost of labor is so low and our wages are so low. If you get rid of the taxes, our cost of living will go down, our income will go up, and we'll lead much better lives.
Thank you. My name is Vermin Supreme, and I'm running for the Libertarian Party nomination. And let me say this about that. One of the best part about running for president is that it is a self-declarative statement that once you say those magic words, I am running for president, it becomes a fact, an indisputable fact, and nobody can challenge that. That is a beautiful thing about democracy. I have used this little loophole in society, and along with the New Hampshire primaries and the ability to access and interact with the duopoly candidates, to run a satirical and humor-based campaign for close to 30 years now, and using the simple, elegant, effective, such as a rubber boot on my head, has allowed me to communicate with billions of people and spread my message around the world. So I think, in answer to your question, creativity, and I think humor and joy and laughter and love can, if applied and non-stopped, it can break through. And that is my message to you. Creativity and love. Thank you.
That's a tough act to follow.
You know, over 1,000 people have filed with the FEC to run for president. I learned this from Richard Winger, a Ballot Access News election law expert. We really wish we had the capacity to hold a conversation with all 1,000 of them. However, we think it's healthy to have some sort of threshold. It's unclear that the thresholds set by the two major parties it is clear that it's unconstitutional, these thresholds created by the two-party system, anti-democratic, unfair, and unreasonable. Vermin Supreme, Libertarian Party.
Vermin, woo-woo!
1, 2, 3. My name is Vermin, and I like a pony. And if you don't like it, well, I say baloney. I can't complain. I braid her mane. The way that pony makes me feel is driving me insane. I like a pony. I like to ride her hard. I ride my pony all around the yard. I have a pony. My pony likes to bark. Me and my pony, we love to ride around town, ride around town. Gonna ride my pony to my hotel pool. Yeah, I'm gonna see her swim. I'm gonna ride my pony to my hotel room. Yeah, I'm gonna let her in. My pony's in the sun, son. My pony's having fun, son. Ponies like to run, son. Phaser set on stun, yeah. Everybody wants a pony. Everybody gets a pony. Hi, I'm Vermin Supreme from the internet. You may recognize me from such great hits as Gingivitis, Free Ponies, or Glitter Bombs.
Woo!
This year, however, I am running a decidedly more serious campaign, and I have thrown my lot in with the Libertarian Party because they are indeed and in fact the party of self-expression, the individual, and things like that. So, the fact of the matter is, I am the voice of a new generation, and thank you for listening. Have a nice day.
Removed from these lands so that the state of Illinois, the city of Chicago, and the state of Indiana could be built up. And I like to acknowledge these lands wherever I go, no matter whose land I'm on, because it's important to remember that these lands were not discovered. And second, it helps us to conduct ourselves with greater humility, understanding that there is a story to these lands that predates what we're given in our history books. So I thank you for allowing me to be here today, and I'm looking forward to the dialogue that we're going to have.
Now the question is, what's the solution to that? And we've heard a lot of ideas here at the table tonight. We've heard people who say, get rid of the whole federal government, just get rid of the whole thing, there's a problem, get rid of them. And we've heard people who said, give the federal government more power, that'll solve all of the problems that the federal government has caused. If a little bit of poison was bad, give them more poison, and that'll solve all of our problems. I do believe in the noble beauty of the Constitution. I don't believe it's perfect. We've talked about some of the huge flaws in it, but I do believe in the noble beauty of empowering the people of this country to solve their own problems and get the government off your back.
The federal government of the United States of America has become extremely corrupted, extremely destructive, extremely overgrown, extremely anti-community, and extremely effective at ripping us off. To keep this system going would be extremely irresponsible. What we need is a moderate, practical, unifying solution to the challenges that we face today. And that's what localization is. It comes down to a matter of trust. Do you trust the federal government to protect your rights, to provide for you, to keep you safe? Or do you trust your community, your neighbors, yourself? Do you trust freedom, which is nonviolence, respect for individual rights? Or do you trust the violence and coercion of authority? This message of localization speaks to everyone, from soccer moms to Bernie bros to the deplorables, because the more local government is, the more customized it is. That's why last year a Republican Idaho state representative was caught accidentally plagiarizing me in a speech that he was giving to Republicans. That's why Cynthia McKinney, 6-time Democratic Congresswoman from Atlanta and the Green Party nominee for president in 2008, has endorsed me and this platform. Localization appeals to everyone. Even Donald Trump said that he would vote for me as long as he could be a president of a state with no Muslims or Mexicans. Localization is the cure for polarization because everyone gets what they want. Let's give every American what they want and overthrow the duopoly. Thank you very much. Don't forget to vote freeequal.org for people watching online. I hope you have your vote and your support tonight. My website is thefreedomline.com. And if you want to join the party of principle, please go to lp.org.
As I said in my introduction, we're running a national campaign to get on the ballots of all 50 states and D.C. with the Green Party and trying to build solidarity on the independent left. You can go to our website, howiehawkins.us, if you want to get involved. And the purpose of that national campaign is to put our demands into the national debate, make the Democrats and Republicans deal with what we're talking about. And I'm leading with 3 life or death issues: climate, inequality, and nuclear weapons. I was the first candidate in this country to campaign for a Green New Deal in 2010. Became the signature issue of the Green Party with our presidential candidate Jill Stein in 2012 and 2016. The Democrats took it over this year, but what did they do? They took the brand and diluted the content. They extended the deadline from 2030 to 2050. They dropped the ban on fracking and new fossil fuel infrastructure, and some other things. Then Pelosi won't let them vote on it. And when they did vote on it in the Senate, Schumer said vote president. And all them good little Democratic senators running for president did, except 4 of them voted with Republicans no. So that's why we need the Green Party in this debate. We're calling for an eco-socialist Green New Deal. We got to take over the power sector, the railroad sector, the manufacturing sector, like we did with manufacturing in World War II, when the federal government built or took over a quarter of manufacturing in order to build the arsenal of democracy to defeat the fascists. We need to do nothing less to defeat climate change. We need an economic bill of rights to end poverty, the right to a job, an income, a home, education, health care, and a secure retirement. And we need to address the crisis of nuclear weapons. I'm calling for no first use by the United States. disarmament to a minimum credible deterrent, and on the basis of those tension-reducing initiatives, go to the rest of the world, the other nuclear powers, and say, we got to get rid of these weapons of mass destruction. Because we're lucky to be here. We've had so many close calls. And if we don't get them, they're going to get us. And a multi-party democracy is something we need to have a real democratic debate and solve our problems. Because right now, the two parties we got ain't solving our problems.
Yes, our country is polarized, and government is the biggest polarizer there is. A lot of us think Rosa Parks is a hero. She stood up, refused to ride in the back of the bus. What a lot of Americans don't realize is that the government owned that bus. Worse yet, 70% of the ridership were blacks. Now, if a private company like General Motors or Apple discriminated against their best customers, they would go out of business, as they should. The government, however, does not go out of business after it treats people poorly. The government, if they do a bad job at anything, they simply raise taxes and ask us to pay for their mistakes. Also, I'd like to point out with Jim Crow laws, after slavery ended, blacks were offering their services at a fair price, and they did high quality work. The whites could not compete against them. So what did the whites do? They used the power of government so that they didn't have to compete against them. Yes, I want a profit because I want people to have to compete for my business. I want somebody to offer me the best price, the best quality, and I don't want government handing out favors so that some people are chosen as winners and others are chosen as losers. The libertarian platform is the most compassionate there is. We allow people to make their own choices. You know, a Charles Manson is awful, but a Hitler with the power of government behind him is catastrophic.
Yes, I've been using my free speech to run for the presidency for over 30 years now. But also, of course, I've also used my free speech and free assembly rights in the streets. And Chicago has often been a place where I've done these. In 1996, I was at the Democratic National Convention. I was working at a delegate checkpoint, talking mandatory toothbrush and the like. And a police officer came up to me and he said to me, "Sir, I would like to ask you to move." Now, I don't know what clicked in my mind, but something did, and I responded to that officer, "Well, thank you very much for asking. I'm very happy where I am." And that changed my life and changed my way of thinking and looking. Also, in 2012, I was here in Chicago at the No NATO Summit, the giant protest. I got to witness the worst of the police state, our terrible police violence. I find that whenever we exercise our right to assemble freely in the streets to petition our government for a redress of our grievances, the only representative of the government is those riot police coming at us, and I find that very offensive. I also would like you to watch the movie Who is Vermin Supreme? It includes a lot of the coverage from that time in Chicago. It's available on Vimeo. And I am indeed an anarchist. I have joined the Libertarian Party because it is the only party that actively welcomes anarchists. It is a party of anarchists and minarchists working together to end the state with compassion and love. I highly invite you to read the party platform. It's at lp.org/platform. And please know that you are welcome to join us. I'm Vermin Supreme. I support this message. Free police for everybody!
In the past 3 hours, you've heard me talk about the deep flaws in the foundations of our nation. You've heard me talk about some of the violence and the genocide. You've heard me talk about the laws and the government agencies that have wreaked havoc on communities of color. And maybe you're asking, it's great to point out these problems and to find these flaws, but what is your solution, Mr. Charles? Well, I am convinced that the United States of America needs a national dialogue on race, gender, and class. A conversation that I would put on par with the Truth and Reconciliation Commissions that happened in South Africa, in Rwanda, and in Canada. However, I wouldn't call ours truth and reconciliation because reconciliation implies there was a previous harmony. And if you understand our history, you know that's not true. I would use the word truth and conciliation. Conciliation is merely the mediation of a dispute. If reconciliation perpetuates the myth we used to be great, now we're not, conciliation demands we have a much more honest starting point. We just have to get to a better place. There is a native elder, his name is George Erasmus. He's from the lands we now know as Canada. And he says that where common memory is lacking, where people do not share in the same past, there can be no real community. If you want to build a community, he says you have to start by creating a common memory. I think these words are genius because they get to the heart of our nation's problem, which is we do not have a common memory. We have a majority culture, a majority of people that have a mythological memory of discovery and expansion, opportunity and exceptionalism. We have communities of color and LGBTQ and other communities that have the lived experience of stolen lands and broken treaties, of slavery and Jim Crow laws, of boarding schools and Indian massacres, of internment camps and mass incarceration and segregation and families being ripped apart at our borders, and we do not have a common memory. And I think this is what we need to do, this is what we need to work on. My name is Mark Charles. I'm a dual citizen of the Navajo Nation and the United States of America, and I am running as an independent candidate for the office of President of the United States. I welcome you to go to my website, markcharles2020.com, and donate to our campaign as I am working to do everything I can to build for the very first time a nation where we the people truly means all the people.
Another round of applause for our candidates coming all this way from all over the U.S.
This is a revolution!